Gentlelady yields back. I now recognize the gentleman from Pennsylvania, Mr. Meuser, for 5 minutes.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, first, I'd like to request unanimous consent to enter into the record several letters. First, a letter from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and a letter from the Center for American Entrepreneurship.
Without objection.
Thank you. And thank you very much to our witnesses. It's quite informative. I appreciate it. But I also appreciate our chairwoman and of the subcommittee, as well as our chair of our full committee, Mr. McHenry, for this focus on and prioritizing of capital formation, especially for small businesses, and really working to build off of the Jobs Act. I spent most of my life in small business, growing small business to a large business, and working with customers that were all small businesses, or virtually all of them. And I also sit on the Small Business Committee. So these topics are extremely important to me. Access to capital, cash flow is the lifeblood of a business, as we all know. Yet, all data continues to show, even this morning in a hearing, that only 13% of households, of those who want to invest, have the ability to be an accredited investor. And as well, only 19% of small businesses would state that they have adequate access to capital. So we clearly have work to do. And as well, last year, there was an enormous decline in IPOs, as you know. The numbers I have show that 74 IPOs. Now, granted, the year before was quite high, but that's 3 times less than the typical average over the last 10 years. So, so what's going on? We need to remove these barriers, or we can begin to count start thinking about how many new growth businesses, technology businesses, what have you, that will not be created here and could be created elsewhere. So a couple of things. Ms. Howe, I'd like to just ask you first. The DEAL Act that was introduced last year, Developing and Empowering Our Aspiring Leaders Act of 2023, decentralizing investments. Is this something that you think is very important, the DEAL Act? So?
I'm sorry, that's the Fund to Fund Act, right?
It is.
Getting all of these confused.
Yeah.
I think I addressed that a little bit earlier. The funds, we are the most entrepreneurial country on the planet. How do we figure out how to continue to keep in our genius zone, and that is by broadening the access. Broadening access in our world, in Kansas City, and Kansas and Missouri, is to have other people know what kind of great entrepreneurs we have here. And so having fund to funds have the ability to find, they won't invest directly into WorkTorch, but they would invest in our fund. And our little fund could use the extra capital. We've turned away hundreds of other investors. You're right, Congressman Sherman, there are a lot of deals that shouldn't get funded. And, but there are a lot that don't get funded, right, because we don't have the capital, and we build syndicates of folks from outside our region. And the best way for us to build syndicates, one, is what we do now is mano a mano. We just go out and we find other VC firms that might be interested, and we go out and sell the deal to other folks. But in this case, for fund of funds, it would be so much easier for people to develop a fund, sure, because you get the good housekeeping seal of approval of a Steve Case or whomever else that would say, yes, this is a venture firm, talk about its relationship built. This is a venture firm that has a good track record. They know what they're doing.
Good, thank you. So you're positive about that. And the ICANN Act, Improving Capital Allocation for Newcomers Act of 2023, expanding the eligibility for capital contributors?
We are on our third fund. We've raised $27 million of the $40 million that we'd like to raise, and we're already up to 70 investors. And we have a list of folks who would love to get in for $50,000, but I don't know that we can take them, because we don't have room for them under 99, under the 99. So if we had more room For investors, we could take much smaller investors. And in a fund format, by the way, that is de-risking the riskier part of the capital stack. So I believe strongly in smaller investors should be in funds.
Yeah, there's no question. VCs, there's a saying, it's easy to count the seeds in an apple, but not so easy to count the apples in a seed. So I definitely commend the work that you all are doing. And we're very interested in hearing more from you. I'm just about out of time, from all of you on what else this committee needs to do. So I appreciate your time, and I yield back, Madam Chair.
Gentleman yields back. Chair now recognizes the gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. Nickel.